Ladies and gentlemen of the old world, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the Warriors of Chaos led by Anticity and Archaon facing off against the Wood Elves, who shall be helmed by Tim the Wilder, and it looks like he is going to be using a Spellweaver of Shadows Melkoth spam. Very, very good. And this is a replay from the most recent Faction Wars. From one of the brackets I did not cast, and I was told this replay is very good, so we're going to dive in, have some fun, and see what all the fuss is about. So for the Wood Elves, going to be opening up with double Arrow of Karnas for the Waystalkers, which is pretty much auto-take. These guys are so freaking good. And it's not so much that, their character kits are fine and all, right? Nothing too crazy here, but it's this one ability with 3 charges. Arrows of Karnas can basically shut down Hell Cannons, which are one of the best tools Warriors of Chaos have against Wood Elves, and they are also just excellent against pretty much everything. You can use it against chunks of infantry, on characters, whatever. It's going to do fat damage, and you'll see that illustrated here in a minute. We do have a Shadowcaster, Melkoth, S tier. Use that against Hellstriders, against Infantry, Chaos Knights, whatever. You're going to have a good time. Aside from that, we do have some Archers in the back. Hagbane Tips for the Poison utility. Front line of Dryads mixed with Eternal Guards. And looks like a huge Skirmish Corps on the outside with some Dryads in tandem with Glade Riders. Just a standard variant. So Tim with a very battlefield control build. Very wide, lots of mobility. With a kind of combined arms front line. Going to be using the Hagbane Tips probably to kill the Blood Beasts and go after the Hellstriders, I would imagine. For Anticity, the Kraken King, although he's been the champion of the Dark Gods lately, we'll have to come up with a new name. He is going to be using Archaon the Everchosen with Burning Head, which is amazing. And yeah, there's Arrows of Karnas. That's why you bring that ability. And it's also, like I said, great insurance against the frickin' Hell Cannon, which is very, very nasty. But Archaon, Burning Head is just S tier. He's very, very tough to kill. He's, armored, he's shielded, a raid boss of a fighter, and he also keeps characters like Durthu honest, right? If somebody comes in with Durthu, he can go fisticuffs and fight Durthu. We got Blood Beast mixed with Armored Chaos Trolls. Forsaken are quick but vulnerable. If they eat cav charges from Wild Riders, they'll eat it pretty bad with their 20 melee defense, but they can rip apart most Wood Elf infantry pretty well. And, even the ones that are like quote-unquote counters, like Wildwood Rangers, they have light armor, and Forsaken hit really hard against light armor, and if they get the charge off, it's not going to be a bad trade, compared to like a Chaos Warrior that won't have that nasty DPS to, kind of countermand the Wildwood Rangers here. So, Aspiring Champions are one of my other favorite picks in this matchup. They're extremely resilient against missiles. They have high armor, silver shields. Low model count is actually very helpful. They're not going to be, as weak against, things like Arrows of Karnas, as well as the spell effects. So, very, very neat. Blood Beasts are, of course, all the hotness right now, but as far as their applications go against Wood Elves, they're kind of like a more, higher leadership, but less tanky Armored Chaos Troll. They both have their place for sure, and they're mass, they can stuff knights, but they are very vulnerable against the Elven shooting. And Tim the Wild, they're going to be grabbing Objective 1 out of the gates, as Objective 2 probably going to be held by Anticity, I would imagine. I suspect he'll move up the Aspiring Champion, so they're 5 capture weight, each of these cav are 4, so it's 4, 8, 12. Man, I really wish that CA would put like some sort of a metric where it would like show the capture weight ratio and like what's currently on the objective. That'd be so friggin' nice, but, certainly not holding my breath. On the outside, the Waystalkers getting a nice shot, and Tim positioning on the outsides is a great tactic for all of you aspiring Wood Elf players, because it gets a better penetration if it goes through the side of the unit, whereas if it goes through the front, it doesn't do quite as much damage, so that's very good. So yeah, Tim moves up, grabs a couple objectives, but Anticity is going to be able to grab those pretty quickly here, and of course the classic Melkoth spam. Wood Elves for the longest time would basically come in with like double Branch Wraith, or even like a Dryka Branch Wraith combo and be spamming Melkoths, because Chaos Knights were all the hotness, but they've kind of fallen out of favor in this matchup. You still see them in the late game. You'll see like 1 or 2 Chaos Knights units, but like it used to be like all Chaos Knight openings, just going balls deep and kind of living that way. So there is another Arrows of Karnas going in, and there is one element of this, right? The fact that Anticity has the patience, I assume he has a Hell Cannon. It's an auto take in this matchup. He has the patience to wait till the Arrows of Karnas are, I think it takes 3 Arrows of Karnas shots to kill a Hell Cannon. So if you can, bait out at least 4 of them, you're going to be fine to call in your Hell Cannon, and then it can really devastate the Elves. In the earlier days when I was really starting to pick up the Warriors of Chaos myself and I was able to get a couple tournament wins with them, it was really just on the back of the Hell Cannon. So I think most people are definitely very aware of how strong that is. It's such a good piece, especially the Soul of Damnation that has the extra ammunition. But some people go cheaper and just use the regular Hell Cannon. It really depends. So Chaos Sorcerer of Slaanesh is going to be an alternate caster for Anticity, which is very good against a faster faction, right? Like you're getting poked, you're getting trolled, but finally you can call some of these guys to their doom using Slaanesh magic and get a pick of your own, which feels good, because yeah, just getting poked by the Wood Elves and being down 2,000 value can be very jarring, and can almost make you feel like you're going to lose the game, but it's very, very normal. Don't panic. They often will go up heavily in value, and you're going to be paying the troll toll a little bit. Tim is also one of the best Wood Elf players out there. He's very, very nasty on them. So on the other side, we do see Melkoth's activated on the Hellstriders. Looks like Anticity going to be sending in the Aspiring Champions, who beat the Breaks Off Dryads, by the way. They do magic damage, so they'll get through the physical resist of the Dryad. And oh man, Anticity's very good with their targeted spells. Gets like a perfect Burning Head and just cooks those archers. So the Revenge of Archaon is fast and it is swift, completely shattering those Glade Guard Starfire shafts. These Dryads are going to be sandwiched now, so really good maneuvering there, right? He goes, he charges that unit, then he pulls back and sandwiches this one, while the Hellstriders are going to just kind of do a distraction charge into those Dryads right there, and then the Armored Chaos Trolls are going to be cooking. And the Armored Chaos Trolls normally would be under threat by Archer, but since he Burning Headed them there, his Chaos Trolls are going to be able to feast a little bit as the rest of the army moves in. Now, a bit of a positional blunder by Tim, which is very, very rare. For some reason, his archers moved up super close. I think he just moved in a big control group and didn't notice his archers were very much in the front of the formation. So he kind of just sacrifices 2 archers here a little bit to the Chaos Onslaught. He is going to be countercharging with his Dryads and using his Glade Riders Hagbane tips to run down the Forsaken, who are very tattered. Eternal Guard should be able to finish him. And we do also get some Wildwood Rangers coming in. Now, Wildwood Rangers don't want to fight Monsters Infantry, but will hard counter the things like Forsaken. But yeah, he blundered those archers and they do get caught. At the end of the day, though, Tim's still very much up in value, but you don't want to relinquish any value to a player of Anticity's caliber. It's gonna catch up with you later, perhaps. So the Chaos Sorcerer of Slaanesh being hunted. Ooh, that's going to be a really nice Burning Head potentially. Look how bunched up they are. Burning Head coming down, and it takes a bit of a, not a direct shot through those guys. So overall, very, very fortunate for the forces of the Wood Elves, and Forsaken continue pursuing the archers here. And I really like this play from Tim. This is a great play. Tim hunting down the Chaos Sorcerer of Slaanesh, potentially going to get a break and get rid of that Pavane. Obviously, Burning Head is still going to be there all day, but getting rid of the Slaanesh caster is huge. Because, for example, I mean, if you were to cast Pavane on the Spellweaver of Shadows right now and Archaon were able to come over, you could potentially kill this Lord, and it would be very, very scary indeed. So objective situation. Objective 2 owned by the Wood Elves. Objective 3 still held by the Warriors of Chaos. Tim almost blundering it, but realizes the error of his ways and is going to be going back. There's the Eternal Guard. Head on over to the middle objective. The Wood Elf Archer line more or less shut down, so now it's going to be more of a melee grind, which of course is going to be favoring the Warriors of Chaos a little bit. And that is why you're seeing a bit of a value close. 4,000 against 5 basically, right? So only within 1,000 of each other right now, so that's very, very good. Armored Chaos Trolls against Wildwood Rangers, pretty cost effective, but they still have good AP, so it's not going to be the worst trade in the world. And good micro from Anticity here as well, pulling back from a bad fight. This is a skill set that a lot of newer players do struggle with. You can just straight up run and book it. A lot of people, if something's close to something, they'll just commit it to a fight and forget about it. But little micro plays like this, like dragging away the dragging the Wildwood Rangers into your territory, for example, where you could call it like a Chaos Knight or something heavy or a Monsters Infantry to punch them. Countercharge them with the Forsaken, keeping these Aspiring Champions alive is a very, very MVP play. But Tim potentially going to be breaking these Trolls here, which would be pretty big, because then he could chase them down with the Glade Riders, potentially get them off the map, which would be pretty fat. Back in the middle, it is going to be Aspiring Champion City, so we have 2 Aspiring Champions grinding it out in the pits, with Archaon the Everchosen probably getting ready to set up a Burning Head. And that's another really good tech about Aspiring Champions is their low model count means you could just cast Burning Head right on top of them and not care. They're barely going to take any damage whatsoever, and you can roast your opponent's troops. So Hellstriders here do rally, but end up getting bullied, and now we see the dreaded Hell Cannon. So this is big, and it's just going to be the regular one, so not the one with an insane amount of ammunition. Slaanesh Caster did end up getting hunted and harried by the Wood Elves, and we do see Tim the Wild. They're pretty rock-hard triple cap right now, so he's got all 3. But the Warriors of Chaos are going to start value trading a lot better now that they have a Hell Cannon out, and currently we see the value is being maintained by Tim the Wilder, 7.5 against 5.8. Archaon probably going to use a Burning Head here to escape this position. We'll have to see Aspiring Champions, of course, providing some nice buffering as well. But the Warriors of Chaos looking kind of bare on the battlefield, right? We have some Aspiring Champions over here. We, of course, have the Armored Chaos Trolls who still have 16 models of their 16, so their combat effectiveness is still very good. Hell Cannon getting some really cost-effective shots. Wildwood Rangers are 100% one of the high-priority targets because Dryads and Eternal Guard are going to get butchered by the Forsaken, by Chaos Knights and things like that, right? But the Wildwood Rangers are the difference makers and really, really were a huge boon to the Wood Elves in the meta when they got changed up. But Hell Cannon should be able to get the job done there. Anticity calling out a Hellstrider. Archaon and the Aspiring Champions trying to fight in the middle. And it looks like Archaon is able to get another pick, and this is going to be a fat Burning Head. Yep, cooking those Wildwood Rangers there, also going into the Dryads, going to be certainly having a little campfire there, and potentially going to be going through the ranks and also hitting the Glade Riders and those Eternal Guards, so just Value City. And Archaon has very good mass, and he does actually take down a Waystalker. So a lot, of Anticity's army, it does look raggedy, but he still has Archaon, who's an absolute raid boss, compared to like a Spellweaver, who is a character that's going to fall off very heavily in the late game. Armored Chaos Trolls do rally. Looking at the value, it's 8.7 against 7.7 right now, so pretty close. Hell Cannon going to be dropping it like it's hot here onto the Wildwood Ranger. So very good target priority by Anticity. He's aware of what the main threats are, and he's going to be softening them up so then he can call in his second wave of infantry most likely, and then feast. We'll have to see though. So Aspiring Champions still fighting it out in the middle. And here on the side, we do see the Dryads move again. And it looks like Tim is going to be going for kind of a full court press. He's really going into the Chaos lines, trying to win this blob fight right here. Some of the Cav almost getting caught by the Hellstriders, but they are able to retreat through the spears. Another good micro display there. And they will take some damage in the process. But Tim calling out more Dryads as well as Glade Riders here. And Anticity just continues to kind of close that value gap. 8.5 against 9.3 here. Hellstriders will be okay if they can avoid the spears. You can see they take some considerable casualties amongst all of the Elven spears right here, and are going to continue to do so most likely. Aspiring Champions are hands down the big MVPs though, and they're a unit that obviously has 5 capture weight. So if there's like an infantry unit of Eternal Guard, for example, right, you're able to do damage to it pretty quickly with, spells or bombardments, and you can mitigate its capture weight. Whereas the Aspiring Champions have a ton of HP per individual model, which are way harder to remove. Therefore, it's just so difficult to remove their capture weight compared to other infantry units, which makes them very, very good. Wild Rider's getting a little bit of cleanup on the outside. Anticity has really, really ravenous micro with those things. Here he's able to hunt down some tattered units and also potentially trap the Spellweaver of Shadows. Looks like it is slightly surrounded here, so if Tim were to blunder this, that would be one way to potentially lose the game. Anticity using the StarCraft surround right there. So he moves past the Hellstrider. Okay, this is potentially a comeback mechanic here. We do see the Melkoth activated on the Hellstriders, and Archaon, the Ever-Chosen, going to be piling in, and he gets a big blow on the Spellweaver. That leadership would be very devastating. Wood Elves have very good leadership, but I mean, any faction doesn't want to be dealing with that. Hell Cannon getting in here, and I suspect there's going to be a Burning Head to punish. Yep, Anticity lining up the Burning Head. This whole brick moves in here. He gets the Lord low, and then he cooks those units. Beautiful play right there. Leadership mass routing. Archaon, of course, does he have... yeah, he does cause terror because he did bring the Crown of Domination, so that's really, really nice there. And now it looks like some Marauders called in from the outside. Anticity able to consolidate his heavy cav, or his not heavy cav, but fast cav. So the Hellstrider is able to get some work done despite being very tattered. And it looks like they are going to be securing this objective. And man, the little engine that could here, the Aspiring Champions are still providing capture weight throughout in this objective, which is insane. And they're obviously going to beat these cav. And you see what I'm saying about Archaon? He's like a late game bully. He's just very tough to deal with. One of the main ways to deal with Archaon for Wood Elves, what would it be? They'll have something like Spirit Leech, Death Magic, they have Shadow Magic, Lore of Beasts, obviously, Lore of Life. Yeah, it's just going to have to be brute force. Maybe like Great Stag Knights, Wild Hunters of Kurnus, something like that. And I'm surprised we're not seeing at least one of those. They're pretty good units for sure. And although I suppose against Hellstriders, they probably wouldn't trade super effectively. That Hell Cannon probably up to about 800 value by now, just farming these Wildwood Rangers. And now it looks like Anticity is going to be finding a way to maybe flip the middle objective, which is nuts. You can see the Hell Cannon there does hit the tree. Very, very unfortunate as we see waves and waves of Forsaken being called out. Forsaken, very good. Mainly because their speed is so nice. I mean, 46 speed, the rate at which they can get onto the battlefield and reinforce is huge. Hell Cannon continuing to get devastating shots into the Wildwood Rangers, whose leadership is at 3, and the shock damage coming in from the Forsaken will be pretty punishing as well. But again, that Wood Elf leadership is no joke, and we're going to see if they can hold. Middle objective in flux, though. Anticity still just squeezing every morsel of value he can out of the Hellstriders as we do approach 1,200 points here, 1,225 points for Tim the Wilder. He obviously would win on one objective right now, but it's going to be a hot minute. It looks like that is going to be the strategy that Tim is going to be employing, though. We do see the Wildwood Rangers and Dryads on the point. Forsaken are already over there, though. They're just rushing the point, really, really trying to put the pressure on, and these Wildwood Rangers are just going to eat a fat charge. I mean, Forsaken are kind of like light Cavanwood. They have a big, big charge bonus. So they can get in there, fold those guys up. Might be able to beat... They would obviously lose all these units, but they're going to do some damage on the way out. Another unit of Forsaken coming across, and Archaon, the Ever-Chosen, with his terror route and his just huge combat presence, is slowly starting to push towards Tim's third objective. And now the waves and waves of heretics are going to be on their way out. But Tim the Wilder is not without tricks. We do see a little bit of shenanigans out here on the far side from these Glade Riders. Granted, it's a little bit dangerous against Warriors of Chaos because of the Hellstriders. Hellstriders, of course, can just ambush out with the 100 speed, and they are faster than the Wood Elf Cav, so they will be able to catch them. Hellstriders, I believe, are some of the fastest Cav in the game with 100 speed. Seekers, of course, in similar territory. Hopefully Creative Assembly will fix them in the next patch, and we can start seeing them again because thematically they're very, very cool. The Marauder Infantry and Forsaken cruising up. Archaon is attacking into the back of the unit. I think he might have enough Winds of Magic for one more Burning Head. Hero of Kernus there did not hit those Forsaken. They were in a bit of a loose formation as the Aspiring Champions head over. And like, there's 12 of 16 Aspiring Champions here and 11 of 16. Those guys still have a ton of capture weight, and they're going to be able to really threaten that objective. On the outside, we do see Tim the Wilder cackling on this point, slowly decapping it. And if he is able to get that, that's going to be pretty huge. Anticity, of course, would have the Hellstrider call out most likely to be able to mitigate that in the late game, but we'll see. I don't know what the situation is with his call-in pool or different things like that. So the Forsaken grind arrives, and they're going to start chewing through all of these Elven units, and most of them aren't going to be good against Forsaken, with the exception of the Treekin, or excuse me, the Wildwood Rangers here. I was just power fantasizing about getting some Treekin in this battle, but yeah, the Wildwood Rangers are pretty good against Forsaken. But with Archaon there, man, he's going to be doing some work. He also gives a leadership buff, I believe, with the Crown of Domination. And now on the outside, we do see Tim with the attempted Ninja, and there is going to be a Blood Beast of Khorne coming out, so the Blood Beasts going to be heading up to the objective, and they should have more capture weight considering how tattered these Glade Riders are, but it's getting a little bit danger close here. I think the Blood Beast should be able to get him off the objective in time, and now has this objective flipped. It has, so look at that, man. Anticity has gotten all 3 objectives. The comeback tour is on. And man, he was really, really down in value right here. And obviously, when you get put in a situation where you have to like desperately defend and you know, really just playing the 1-point victory, you can, you know, start to fall behind pretty heavily in value when you're playing these desperation plays like that. And the Hell Cannon is also just getting a ton of value. Obviously was unsummoned to get the refund. Blood Beast able to get over to the point with the Hellstriders. And this is basically the last gasp here from Tim the Wild. They're moving in with the Dryads. That is going to be 10 capture weight versus 3 from the Blood Beast and 4 from the Hellstriders. So that's going to be 7 in total, which will mitigate some of the speed. But Tim does have a fair amount of mobility. Glade Rider is going to be heading over there, and we do see the dreaded Hordes of Chaos securing Objective 1 pretty firmly. So you probably need to leave most of the infantry here, probably take Archaon over there to try and mitigate this. But this is something Wood Elves can do very well. They're pretty nasty on objectives with all their speedy cav and their missile cav, and you know, Dryads, of course, are quite cost effective there. Blood Beast coming and just bashing these guys, though. I mean, they're excellent against infantry. Blood Beasts do some serious work. Very similar to like what an armored Chaos Troll would do, but obviously a little bit squishier. Like Dryads can fight back better against a Blood Beast than they could against an armored Chaos Troll. They would just bounce off because the Troll, of course, regenerates and has 110 armor, so it's pretty nutty. Hellstrider's going to be heading out. Tim is going to be trying to push past those. Forsaken do arrive on the point, and some of the Hellstriders on the other side here do manage to rally. Archaon, the Everchosen, going to be fighting it out here, and yeah, still hanging on. Beautiful Arrow of Kernus there by Tim. Firm hold by the Warriors of Chaos right here. And I think that probably Anticity has this one in the bag here, as we do see these units running away. The Glade Rider is going to be retreating, and the Hellstrider is going to be zipping on over to countercharge those guys and basically just punish them. It's pretty insane. Like, without Hellstriders, Warriors of Chaos would go down, like, they would go from, like, an A+, like, S-tier-esque faction to just being, like, a B-tier faction for sure. Hellstriders are just such a freaking good unit. I mean, I don't think they're like OP or anything. I think they're in a pretty good spot, but just like what they do for the roster is so freaking huge. But they're like an S tier unit. Hellstriders are really, really good. Having anything that has like 100 speed, poison, anti-large, I mean, God, it's so freaking powerful, right? And that's going to be a very, very good game. Very scrappy. Always fun to see like the pinnacle of play. Like when you see two power sweats like battle each other, it's like watching King Kong, Godzilla go at it. It's super fun, you know? And yeah, great tech by both sides. It's kind of hard to evaluate where Tim kind of lost the game. I think when his archers kind of fumbled in the beginning and moved up, that was a little bit precarious. Aside from that, I think bringing in like one big scary cav unit, maybe like Wild Hunters of Kernus could be good, or Wild Riders are still pretty nice. Maybe like Wild Riders with enfeebling foe support could smash the Hellstriders a little bit. I don't really know, just kind of spitballing, but I'd be curious to see what sort of changes he would make, or if he would just articulate that it was a play mistake and he got outplayed in that way. I'm not sure. But Anticity, of course, very scrappy. You know, that a lot of people would have just tapped out. Like, it looked like he had like 3 units on the battlefield, but that's a very deceiving thing in this matchup. You could definitely start to grind your way back. And Archaon with 4,000, I think the Burning Heads are honestly what won Anticity the game. Really good Burning Heads and really good Hellstrider play too. Yeah, Blood Beast about 900 value. Didn't quite pay for themselves, but are pretty good indeed. And yeah, we saw the Forsaken doing it. Aspiring Champions are absolute Giga Chads in this matchup. They're really good in a ton of matchups, honestly. Very, very tough to remove. Like if you're playing against Skaven and you have to deal with Globadiers, Aspiring Champions, they don't care about the poison. They're low model count. They don't take much damage. Really, really good. All right, guys, GG well played. We'll see you on the other side. And that is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen.